They called it the Red Gold Boom. From the late 19th to the mid-20th century, tomatoes were an essential cash crop for Ozark mountain farmers. A few months each year, the region's tomato canneries, many of them bare bones mom and pop operations, cranked up in small towns or alongside fields and creeks. Millions of cases of Ozark canned tomatoes made their way to kitchens across America.
They fit so well with what farmers did in the area, and they fit well with consumer tastes. Mostly it was mixed agriculture around here. People raised a couple of crops. They had different types of animals, chickens, that kind of stuff too. So it was pretty easy to just add tomatoes to that mix. They start to really take off in the 1890s and then explode again in the 1920s. They're starting to fade a little bit by the end of the 30s. But then the war comes along and they need all the production they can get. So the canneries have a revival and then they fade in the early 50s.
The Ozark canneries were still profitable, but by then consumer tastes were shifting to big national brands like Del Monte, which sold more than just tomatoes. While they lasted, though, the canneries generated all-important income at a critical time in the farming year. Growing up in Barry County, both Doris and Carol Hayes' families worked in tomatoes.
Whatever we were doing, it was to, earn money to go through the winter. As the crops came along, we started in the spring picking strawberries. Then we went from the strawberries to blackberries and then to the tomatoes. Which was more or less the summer crop. And my mother worked in the canning factory itself.
Mr. Jones that run the canning factory, we usually had the seed. He would furnish us with seed and fertilizer, and that's how we got our crop started, was with stuff we got from him. Then he'd take that out of Dad's check for the tomatoes. We usually had 1 acre to 2 acres of tomatoes. We had a pretty good operation of tomatoes. There was a very intense work. The one factory, the only one I ever worked at, was in Cross Hollows. And I was, I think, 15 years old, so I had to get a written permission from my parents to work there, even back in those days. The farmers brought the tomatoes in. The guys that worked in there where they scalded them would go out and get them out of they were stacked in crates outside. They'd go bring their crates in, put them in steel baskets, and they had a vat there of water, which they had steam pipes in that water. So it wasn't no time until they could have that water boiling. They would dip the tomatoes down in there in wire baskets and bring them out, take them down. There was some long troughs in the factory where the women stood and peeled the tomatoes. When a woman wanted some tomatoes, they'd hold up their hand. They usually had a tag on the back of their neck. The guys had those hand punches, and they'd punch a spot out in that tag on their back, and that's how they got paid, by the number of baskets of tomatoes they peeled in a day.
All the ladies that worked in the canning factory used these knives to peel their tomatoes. My mother, when she peeled her tomatoes, she tried to do a really good job, so she got the whole tomato. She always laughed about her tomatoes being whole when she got through, and the other ladies just did half a tomato, she called it.
The Millionaire tomato was surely one of the varieties grown for the Ozark packing houses, but it might have gone the way of the canneries if not for seed savers like Ed Henson. He ran the general store in Champion, where his daughter-in-law Betty still presides behind the counter just down the road a bit from our Missouri Ozarks farm. In 1950, Ed got some of the seeds from a Mountain Grove man named Forrester Hutzel, and he grew them for many years. In 1995, Carol Cleveland of nearby Norwood, Missouri, sent Millionaire seeds to Neil Gillard in Ontario, Canada. Neil sent a sample of seeds to us at Baker Creek, and we were tickled to learn that this old Ozarks variety, believed to have been lost, was being safeguarded for all those years in Canada. Millionaire is a legendary old-timey beefsteak type tomato that's delightful eaten fresh or canned. With its sweet flavor and beautiful coral pink color, it's a classic throwback tomato, flavorful and juicy, that reminds us of the tasty tomatoes from childhood. After many years and an international journey, we are so happy to offer Millionaire from its southern Missouri home. Its preservation is a testament to the power of seed saving and to the way a seed sometimes takes the long way home. Thanks so much for watching Seed Stories. We love bringing you the backstory on these amazing varieties. Be sure to click the subscribe button so you won't miss a single episode.